All right, folks, here we are setting up the scenario 10.1, hot time in the town of Berlin, the Western Allied offensive. I guess this is Patton saying we got to take on those Ruskies. So thankfully somebody has made some setup sheets for this scenario to make it easy. And I put all of the pieces on here for each side. Actually, I found that I'm missing one. There's a lot of counters in this game, so I've got this Italian Giulia counter just substituting for a missing Soviet division. I've just got to find it. I'm sure it's around here someplace. But there's a lot of Russian 2, 3, 5 divisions. So they'll be all setting up and doing a campaign here. Well, it's not really a campaign. It's basically a 1-month battle. You can see the air superiority. Here's the Soviets. And the Western Allies, very similar in terms of air capacity. The Americans have about 8 plus 6. It looks like they have about 18 armored divisions. The Russians have a similar amount. So it looks like a real bang-up attack here. Should be entertaining. So we'll see what happens with this. This is the 1945 scenario, so it's actually going to use the CRT. Where is that? Here we go. It's going to use the standard CRT. And it's really interesting here. Looks like they've decided to make a different CRT for 1962 and 1989. It looks quite interesting how they've done that. So we're going to play this game and do a turn-by-turn analysis. Several different videos here. This is just the first introductory one, so I'm sure I'll do a couple of turns first. There is a window here in this game, in all of them really, all the different scenarios. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. But each of the scenarios has here's some optional historical attacks. There's quite a bit of variety here that they've done. So, yeah, here's an order of arrival for 1945 scenarios in the run-up. You can see that the Western Allies have some, and so do the Soviets. This is the 5 turns of run-up moves before the actual war starts that trigger the war. So, a lot of replayability here, I think. Should be fun. Okay. I will sign off from here. I think I have this camera upside down. Good thing I can edit this and flip it right side up. Bye for now. Okay, after a great deal of many tasks to be done last week, I'm finally getting ready to play Iron Curtain, Central Europe. And it's going to be the 1945 scenario. I'm in the run-up phase here. There's the turn marker, run-up 1945. Now, in this particular scenario, it must be that Patton is attacking, so the Western Allies have the first run-up turns to start moving towards the border, and they get double movement since they're quite spread out. The objectives of this game are these purple marked hexes here, different cities. For example, Vienna, Budapest, Berlin, and so on. The Western Allies need to take, I think, 6 of these to win the game. And again, it's a 10-turn scenario, each turn being 3 turns, about a month before I guess something else would happen. So it just represents the initial part of the game. So that's pretty much all set up now. The tension track starts at 0 up here. There is an air superiority track, but that won't come into play until such time as we have war. So I'll be doing the run-up turns until we get into the war, and then I'll do another montage of what's going on. All right, that's the current update. There you go. Okay, we've done it here. We've reached tension level 5. Look at that. So the Soviets were able to deploy pretty well. They were rolling a lot of moves a couple of times. And I got a little bit behind on getting my reinforcements in as the NATO power. So even though NATO's on the attack, I think they're a little bit out of position. They're probably going to have to go for a southern attack initially because the Soviets look pretty strong up there in the north. So, I don't know. We're going to play this out because I really don't know how it's going to play. It should be quite entertaining to see how this works. So, we're ready for the big schlemiel. I'll try to get a bird's eye view of everything. Player displays with the available air forces here. And then likewise on this side, we do have some reinforcements coming in. Not much for the Allies. I think that's all they get. The Soviets do get some stuff on war turns 3, 4, and 5. So those will be coming in. So the Allies will hope to have air superiority by then. So they can airstrike them. They all have to come in the same area and they all can possibly be airstriked at the same time. So that's the scoop. We'll see how this plays out. Looks like it'll be fun. All right, 1945 NATO attack. Okay, coming in with a quick commentary after finishing turn 1 of war. It's now turn 2. You can see that the Soviets took some losses here. Let's use a more official looking pointer. There we are. Okay, these are coming in. So they're losing the air war slightly. The upcoming turn for air, turn 2's air weather is still clear, not soup. So they can fly everything. And so the Allies are going to have 6 units in air superiority to the 4 for the Russians. So ideally the Americans can get some air superiority here, or I should say the Western Allies. Now into the ground game after the first turn, there's a big collision basically. It's a bit random. There's a lot of units moving up still for the Western Allies. Some clashes near Berlin here. The losses were heavy for the Soviets as they weren't quite prepared not to be overrun. And in this game, the CRT is quite deadly. A 2-to-1 attack is pretty effective. 1-to-1 is still more than 50% effective. And the terrain is not severe. Basically, no matter what kind of terrain that you have, including the city of Berlin, including these little rivers here, including the forests, including the rough, including the mountains, it's all one shift. That's it. So, there was a catastrophe. The Americans did do an overrun with this guy at 3-to-1. That's 10-7. And they rolled a 2 on 2 dice. So Snake Eyes destroyed. But if you look over here at the Grindel bin, the Soviets, these are all a bunch of 1-step 2-3-5s or 3-4-5s that were wiped out in the first turn. In combat, they were too spread out. So the Soviets, coming back over here, and sorry for the moving around of this. Probably next time I'll put this on a better, some kind of stand, the camera I mean. But as you can see here, all right, these guys we're all clashing right up at the front. And there's attacks, counterattacks, step losses here for the Americans near Pilsen as they're trying to drive on Prague. A bunch of losses in this area, both American and Soviet. You can see the steps. It's pretty clear to see which ones are flipped over. Just so you know, in this game, anything with the yellow outline, like that 866, 868. That means it can move in the exploitation phase, and you can also do overruns in the exploitation phase as long as you don't start next to an enemy unit in the exploitation phase. So that's the standard combat series combat, but I'm not so sure that there's going to be, if there are overruns now that the stacking has started to occur, they're much harder to do. They're going to be a 1-to-1 or even 1-to-2. Now airstrikes can come in and start flipping over units as well, because an airstrike can affect multiple stacks and multiple units as long as you keep rolling the dice effectively. So you can have one of these strike units come in, for example, and start here. And if they get a result, then they can move here, then they can try to attack there and there and there. I mean, conceivably, the air can really dominate this game. So we're going to see how that works. A bit of a I don't really know how to explain this. It seems like a random game. So just to give you some plans here, this group of Allied units are going to try to take Vienna. These French are going to come up along with the Americans and pour over the mountains, I guess, and they're going to try to take Prague. And then they got to take a couple hexes of Berlin up here. So it doesn't look like an easy task. I think the air will be decisive here. So we'll see what happens. That's the end of turn 1. So I'm going to post this up. It's going to be a short video. And we'll play, I think, I don't think I want to do a video for each turn, but I might in these initial turns. I just want to do a playthrough to see how this game plays. And, this is the 45 scenario. It's very likely that the other scenarios, 62, 75, 82, 85, are all going to play a lot differently, given the different CRT, more effective air power, chemical attacks, and even tactical nuclear attacks. So this is a good warm-up. All right, that's it for this video. Let me post it up. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you would, please. Cheers.